right? So controller is a central console from which the load test is managed and monitored, right? And with this controller, like, we will be using some other machines called load generator machines. These are load generator machines, these three, right? So what these load generator machines do, these are the machines from which the scripts will be actually running. These are the machines from which the scripts will be actually running, and the scripts will be generating virtual users, thousands and lakhs of virtual users, right? Hundreds or thousands or lakhs of virtual users. What these virtual users do, they perform real life transactions on a system to emulate the production traffic, right? So we discussed many times what are the, what is the purpose of script, right? Or how do we generate virtual users, right? How do we generate virtual users? We will simulate the real world user actions, real life transactions, right, into a script. We will simulate and develop a script, right? Now we will, right? So we discussed many times, right? So for a net banking application, what are the real life transactions, real world transactions? Or for a travel application, what are the real life transactions, right? So we discussed those list, all those list, right? Correct. Now we developed scripts for each of those business scenario, right? Each of those business scenario, first we have to develop a script, right? And then we will be running those scripts from, load generators, machines called load generators, to generate the virtual users, right?
Okay. Yes.
You'll get a clear understanding once we start the test. Don't worry, like, we will get a clear understanding. So on these, so load generator, for now understand that what is controller, what is load generator, right? Controller is a central console from which the load test is run, and load generators are the machines from which the scripts will be actually running, should be executed, right? Right. So these load generators will be simulating these virtual users, right? These are, you have 4 virtual users using, right? 4 virtual users running on each machine, right? On each virtual machine, you have some virtual users running, right? And now what these virtual users do, right? This is done with the help of scripts, right? So these scripts will be simulating the, here you can see, if this is, assume that this is your application under test. Assume that this is your web tools application, or assume that this is your JPEG store, or assume that this is Kona card, or assume that this is your SBI net banking application. Whatever the application it is, IRCTC or redbus.in, or whatever the application you are testing, that is called as application under test, right? In short, that is called as AUT. In short, that is called as AUT, application under test, or system under test. Both are same ways, right? AUT, right? Application under test, or SUT, or system under test. Okay, you understood what is AUT or SUT? Okay, those who are taking running notes, you can take it down. Okay, you can note this down, right? Right. So assume that this is your application under test, and what are these servers? Yes.
Application server.
Web server, application server, and database server.
Database server.
Right. So you know all your request will first go to the web server, right? That's why they gave this symbol of a spider web here, right?
Yeah.
Understand? And this process the application logic, right? And this is DB symbol, DB database logo, right? So any typical web application consists of web app and DB, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. But for our web tools, do we have web app and DB?
Yes, sir.
We have web app and DB servers for web tools.
Yes, sir. No.
Any other
installed
answer?
in our, it is installed in our machine only.
Client server.
Client server. Router kada.
it's not a client server application, but everything is built into Apache HTTP web server. In the case of web tools, everything is, because it is a simple application, so you have everything, like everything recorded into, hold on. You have everything inbuilt into this, Apache HTTP server. Okay, in case of web tools, we don't have web app and DB servers separately, but you have only Apache HTTP server, Apache HTTP server.
So is it single tier architecture?
So here you can see, it's a powerful and flexible, HTTP 1.1 compliant web server. Okay. Okay. So for to understand like how web app and DB servers work, like we will be installing Konakat on your machine. Okay. I think you have downloaded Konakat, right? Everyone downloaded Konakat, right?
Yes, sir.
But like you require like a minimum 8 GB RAM to run that. Okay, because Konakat installation itself, if you have 4 GB, it will take 2 to 3 hours, or at least 1 to 2 hours if you have 4 GB RAM. Okay, so then you will understand, like for this Konakat application, basically we have Konakat online application also, correct? So whose URL is, hey, Sweta, I shared that sample application. I hope you
Yeah,
check
I
it.
saw it, Kishore, but I didn't get the laptop for 3 days. So
Okay. So this is
today,
Konakat. Yeah. Okay. So this is Konakat online application, right? But when you have to install this, I asked you to download this, right? And from
yeah,
downloads, go to
community.
this.
Version.
Yeah. I asked you to download the community edition, right? So for this, you have to first set up the SQL server if you want to set up this application on your local machine. So you have to set up database server, right? MySQL, you can use MySQL as the database. And then you have to install this, Tomcat server and everything. You have to do that setup. Okay, we will do that, going forward, we will do this. Okay, but like any typical web application consists of web app and DB servers, and all your user requests, when user access any application from the browser, it will go to the web server, and then if it is a static content, web server will serve that request. But if it is a dynamic content, right, if there is some application logic involved, right? Okay. So can you explain this, what I am telling this? If it is static content, it will be served by web server. If there is some application logic involved, like if it goes to the application server, and if required, it goes to the database. If required, if to process that application logic, some data is required, then it goes to the DB server. Can you give some example for this? Hey, hold on, I will share
In
this.
the
Yeah. One second, please. Yes. Yeah. I gave some 3-4 examples for this, right? Yes.
when we open a Gmail website,
Okay.
so the homepage where we used to log in will be from the web application, and where after passing the credentials, the data will go to the database server, and from
Right.
there it will get the response.
Right. Right. So let me let me repeat that example. So you type gmail.com, right? So like this is a static page, right? So this is a static page, agree?
Yes, sir.
Right, this page will be same for everyone, right? When you enter, like when you enter your email address, right now it has to, it has to fetch from, if that email ID is existing, now it will prompt you for the password. But if if that email ID is not existing, you gave some, some junk email ID, right? It will show like, uh, first it will show like, if, enter a valid email or phone number, right? Or else, perf test is there, but I'm not sure whether this ID is there, right? This is not my ID. I don't know this. If some other user is having, it will ask for password. Otherwise, like it will say it is a, enter a valid email address, right? It is saying like couldn't find your Google account, right? So it has to check with the database, right? If this email ID is existing or not. To find if this email ID is existing or not, it has to check with the DB, right? It has to check some table in the database. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Right? So, and now application server comes into picture here, right? So initially when we enter gmail.com, right, this is a static page that will be served by the web server itself. This is also a static page, right? It will be served by the web server itself. But if it has to process some logic, right, then it goes to the then your request will go to the application server. And if some data is required, like verifying whether an account is existing or not, then it will go to the your request will go to the DB server as well. Understood?
Okay.
Right? And and please understand that you'll have any typical web application, you'll have web app and DB server. Okay, web app and DB server, and you should know what are the uh, responsibilities of, or what is the scope of each server, and what is the scope of each server, right? And what are the different web application and database servers in the market, right? I also covered that. What are the different web app and DB servers in the market? Hmm?
MySQL, Oracle, and SQL SQL are the database one,
Right.
and Tomcat is the application server.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So I couldn't find that slide. I will do one thing. I will cover it. Yeah. What are the web servers? Popular web servers?
MySQL.
Web servers.
Is Sitescope?
Apache HTTP.
Sure.
Sitescope is a monitoring tool.
Okay.
Apache HTTP server, Nginx, right? And you have couple of other web servers, Nginx and IIS and so on, right? Now next comes application server. Application servers, popular application server is Apache Tomcat.
Tomcat.
Next comes
WebSphere.
WebLogic. WebLogic, right? WebLogic is from Oracle. Okay. WebLogic was originally developed by a company called BEA. Okay, later it was acquired by Oracle. Oracle bought this WebLogic server from BEA. Okay, and you have IBM WebSphere. Okay, apart from this you have JBoss. Okay, for .NET applications you have again IIS. Right. So these are the popular application servers: Apache Tomcat, WebLogic, WebSphere, JBoss, and IIS. Okay. Guys, remember very important interview question, like when when they are asking questions on your project, they will ask like what is the web server, what is app server, and what is the database server for your project or for your application, right? So you should be having a clarity like what is web server. I mean, what web server and what is the web server, what is the application server database in your project, right? And you should be having the idea about the architecture, application architecture, and what are the DB servers, major DB servers in the market. First comes MySQL, which is an open source, and then you have Microsoft SQL, Microsoft SQL Server, right? What else? Oracle database. Oracle DB, right? And you have many more databases, right?
SQL Server, MongoDB,
Yeah, MongoDB.
SQL Server.
Yeah, Microsoft SQL I covered it here. Is
Okay.
what you mean, right?
Right.
Microsoft SQL. Let me take this. Microsoft SQL database DB, right? But these are the most popular, right? MySQL being open source, it is most widely used, and then you have Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle DB, and so on, right? Okay, so these are the any typical web application consists of at least one web server, app server, and DB server instance. Slide for this. Anyone remember where is that slide? Okay. That's not there in this slide. So good. That's there in server mountain and DB mountain. I remember that now. Popular web app and DB servers, right? So yeah, so these are the web servers, important web servers: Apache, HTTP, and Nginx. Right? There are many other, but these two have major market share. As you can see here, Apache HTTP server is an open source web server with 40% market share. Right? Right? So this is the major web server that is used in the market. It alone has 40% market share, and after that, Nginx has 23% market share. Right? So just to not to give you too much content, I removed all the other web servers because these two themselves cover like 63% market share. Apart from that, you have from a web application servers, you have Apache Tomcat is the major one. It is also open source one server, right? And the next one comes Oracle WebLogic, right? Oracle WebLogic, and then IBM WebSphere, Red Hat JBoss, right? Right now that is called as Wildfly. I mean, previously that is called as JBoss, but somehow they named it as Wildfly. Okay, and Pramati is another application server. Pramati is a Hyderabad-based company, right? And Microsoft IaaS is for .NET applications, right? Pramati is a Hyderabad-based company. Okay, Pramati Technologies. So they have developed their own, application server, and this is a Hyderabad-based company, as you can see here. Okay, so yeah, set out in 1998 on the path to create innovative products from India for global markets. Okay, anyways, it's not mentioned here, but this is a Hyderabad-based company, okay, in our Indian company, Pramati, right? They have developed this, Pramati application server. Okay, so let's go back to this slide. And then these are the popular DB servers, right? Oracle MySQL, Microsoft SQL, IBM DB2, MongoDB, and SAP HANA. These are the popular database servers. All right. Okay. Right. So from here we went there, right? So these are the, I mean, like I explained that, what are the different web servers, application, and database servers in the market. Now coming back to this load testing architecture. So when your users are accessing any application, your request should first go to the web server, and then if your request is for static content, that will be served directly by the web server. But if there is some application logic involved, there is some processing involved, your request will go to the application server, and to process that logic, if it requires some data, right, it will go to the, your request will go to the database and fetch the data, and then it will be processed, and then the response will be sent to the web server, and the web server will send the response to the browser. Clear?
Yes,
Your
Kishore.
request, if your request go to the database server, right, and it, again that it will fetch the data, the request will fetch the data from the database, and assume that your request is processed, right? So application server will not respond to you directly. It should send the response to the web server, and web server will show you the response. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right now, right? So now there will be, this controller has another component called a monitor, right? There will be some monitoring component also, which will monitor these web, which can monitor these web application and database servers, and it will collect the real-time statistics. It will collect all the, performance data across all tiers, servers and network resources, and display information on the controller. So here we will see, like, once we start using controller, you'll see like how it will monitor and how do you get that, real-time monitors, real-time performance data, right? And now this controller stores the results in a database repository, allowing users to generate reports and perform analysis, right? So once it collects the data, controller collects the data, it will create a results file. It will create, controller will create a results file, which can be opened with the help of the third component called analysis, right? The results file can be opened with the third component called analysis, which will help you to analyze the results. All right. So this is the third component, and like once we are done with some text executions, we will see this analysis component, how to use this load runner analysis component. All right. Now, is this architecture clear, guys? Is this, is this slide understood?
Yes, Kishore.
Now let's move on to the next one. So you have VUgen, which is used for creating the scripts, controller for
Controlling the load
Controlling
test
the
scripts,
load test.
executing the load test, and then analysis component for analyzing the results.
analyzing the results.
And controller, will it run the scripts on its own? Yes, it can run scripts on its own. We can run the scripts in the controller machine, but ideally we should use and
Load generator.
other machines called load generators, or agent machine. In this slide they are calling that as agent machine. So here they are showing 5 agent machines. So these will be actually running the scripts and generating load on the application under test, right? All your requests will first go to the web server, and then it will go to application server, and then it goes to database, right? Here they are assuming that that application you are testing is Amazon.com, right? Just for this example, for the sake of example, right? Now your, one, if your application server process some logic, it will send the response to the web server, and web server will be sending the response to the users, right? So this is all about this slide, right? And now this is the load testing process. First, we will plan the load test. We create the user scripts and then define the scenario, right? The first 2 steps we have already done, right? We planned the load test. I mean, yeah, I will cover this. I'll revisit this. What is this planning? Planning the load test, right? So planning the load test means like preparing the test plan document and, identifying the critical business flows, right? And right, that is planning the load test, right? And then creating user scripts, which we have already done. Now we are going to see like how to define the scenario and how to run the scenario and how to analyze the results, right? In the next 1 week, we are going to see this, how to define the scenario, how to run that scenario, and how to analyze the results, right? So before moving to, before starting the test executions with controller, let us understand difference between concurrent users and simultaneous users, right? Let's understand what is simultaneous user and what is concurrent user, right? So assume that, like you have, I mean, in this slide also, in this picture also takes, WebTools example only. Assume that, you are running a load test with some 5 users. You are doing a test execution with 5 users on WebTools application, right? So I told you, right? So when we are doing the actual load test, we will be using which theme time? what is the think time pattern that you will be using?
5 seconds.
Percentage.
In script, we will be using 10 seconds as standard think time, right?
Yeah.
And in the think time, like you will be
Random
using,
percentage.
50 to
use
50.
random
150.
percentage of recorded think time. You will be using this think time pattern. Why? Why should we use this one? Why not this one? Why shouldn't we use 10 seconds as think time? Or
Because
why shouldn't we use fixed think time?
not every user will take that much time to respond.
Right. So every user will not wait for exact fixed amount of time, right? Before moving to the next step. Agree?
Yeah.
Right? That's why generally we keep 10 seconds as recorded think time. In the script, we keep 10 seconds as think time, and we use random percentage of recorded think time. Agree? Right? I also I have shown you like how these work, right? Did I?
Yeah.
When you use ignore think time, what happens? Like there will be no think time between each step. And did I show you this recorded think time, how it works, and use random percentage of recorded think time, how it works? We ran the script and with these using each of these, and we verified that, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kishore.
Right now, so in that process, when you are using random think time, every user will not be at the same step, right? When you are executing 5 users, when you are running the load test with 5 users, some users may be at home page, right? Some users may be at login step, some users may be at select flight step, and some users may be at book flight step. Agree?
Sir.
Because every user will not go in sync, right, together, right? When you are using random percentage of recorded think time. Agree or no?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So here you can see that's what this diagram represents. Some users, one user is at home page, user 5 is at home page, right? See, user 5 is at home page, whereas user 4 is at login step, user 3 is at select
Select
flight step, and user 2 is at book flight step, and user 1 has performed all these steps and he is at logout step, right? User 1 performed home page, login, search flight, select flight, book flight, and then he logged out, right? So is this clear? Like is this diagram understood?
Yes, Kishore.
Right now,
Yes.
what is concurrent user? First of all, right, here you can see it is mentioned as concurrent user. So what is concurrent user? All the users in a particular scenario are called concurrent v users, right? All the users means home page, the user who is executing home page, user who is logging in, right, who is the user who is booking flight ticket, and the user who logged out, right? All the users in a particular scenario are called concurrent users, right? They may or may not perform the same task at any point of time. At one instance, at any instance, they may or may not perform the same task. One user is performing home page, one user is performing login, and one user is performing logout, right? So is this understood what is concurrent user?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Kishore.
Right now, let us understand simultaneous user. Now let's understand what is simultaneous user. So okay, so observe this. We user accessing the same page at same time are called as simultaneous users, right? We users accessing same page at the same time, they are called as simultaneous users. For example, so assume that 5 users are logging in at same time, right? At any point of time, 5 users are at login step. They are doing that login transaction, right?
Okay.
Those are called as
Simultaneous.
simultaneous user, right? But whereas Concurrent users, when you refer to concurrent users, they may or may not perform the same step at any point of time, right? But they are executing this, business flow called ticket booking, right?
Okay.
Right. So each user may be performing a different step, right? All those users are called concurrent users. Whereas simultaneous users means the users which are accessing same page at same time are called as simultaneous users, right? And we will understand what all these, later on when we are executing the test. I will cover what is this randomness point and so on, right? I'll explain this. What is this randomness point and how do we set randomness point in loadrunner and JMeter and when we are executing the test, okay? Now, you understood what is the difference between concurrent users and simultaneous users? Very important interview question. What is the difference between concurrent user and simultaneous user? Very important interview question. Okay. All right. Right. So now let's go to the controller. So how we add scripts to the controller, right? And how do we execute the test? Means we are at the third step now in this load testing process. We are at the third step. We are going to define the scenario and we are going to run the scenario and we are going to analyze the results. All right. So for this, I launched a controller already. So this is the controller launch screen. And once you launch the controller, you will get this new scenario window. And if you observe here, there are, some in the first section, first part of the window, you have select scenario type. The first one is manual scenario and the other one is goal oriented scenario, right? And by default, manual scenario is selected and by default, this checkbox is selected, right? And you can see, and in the bottom section, see here, select the scripts you would like to use in your scenario, right? Select the scripts you would like to use in your scenario. The first one is the first option you have is load runner scripts, and you have a couple of other like system or unit test and JMeter scripts, right? We'll come to this later on, right? So first let us understand the load runner scripts. Like by default, load runner scripts is selected, and you can see the next window, it shows you some load runner LR scripts on your machine, right? It shows you whatever scripts are there in the default path of Vusion. What is the default path of Vusion scripts? Script location. What is your script location? Default script location?
Documents.
Right. Documents.
Reason.
Documents. Vusion scripts. Right. Under documents. This is the default location of scripts, right? Documents, yes, Vusion scripts. This is the default location where your load runner scripts will be stored by default, right? Unless until you change the path, all the scripts will be stored in this location. Yes, you have to remember this path. Okay, documents, Vusion scripts, right? So whatever scripts are there in that folder, like it will be showing all those scripts over here under available scripts, right? Got it?
Yes,
Right. Now let us select the scripts that you want. So what I will do is I will select the Web2 scripts. First we will do our script execution with Web2s, right? So Web2's cheapest flight, REC1. Is this the one? REC1 25th September. I think this is the script. First let us add user registration, right? User registration script is also important, right? Where is our user registration script? Web2's user registration 11th August. Let me check the script first, right? We are in documents Vusion script path. There is our user registration. Let's see which is the working script, completed script. Okay, it should be the completed script. Let's verify. Completed script means where we have LR start transaction, WebRec find, right? That is script is completed in all aspects. Right? Here we don't have WebRec find.
WebRec find.
Yeah, we don't have WebRec find here. Let me open some other script, some other user registration script. So this script has start transaction, WebRec find, and everything, right? King time is not there, so we have to change the king time, right? So what is the king time we have to use instead?
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Okay. So let's change this, okay? Or else, let me add the previous one only, guys. Right? Web2's user registration and the name is perfect, right? So we'll add a think time over here. Okay. So we have think time over here. We will add web ref find. Okay. We'll add web ref. Sorry. I'll do one thing. We'll add it here. Let's save this with some other name. Web2's user registration.
Hello.
So let's modify think time.
Hello.
So how can I modify this think time and in one? Okay. How can I modify this? Okay. Of course, here it is. Think time is 3 seconds throughout. Okay. You can change it directly, right? The think time is 3 seconds in all the steps, as you can see here, right? We can do replace option, right? I'm replacing the think time of 3 seconds with 10 seconds, right? Do replace or 5 occurrences are replaced. This script is ready, right? This script has the start transaction points and web ref find, right? So this is our first script. Now let's add this first script, right? So I saved just now, right? Here you can see that script now in this available scripts, right? So select that script and use this add button to add to the scenario, right? The next script is, random flight reservation, right? Let's pick one script. Let's open that script once. To random flight ticket booking. Let me see if this is the completed script. Yeah. So here you have transactions and the web find, right? And everything, right? So this is random flight ticket booking, guys.
Yes.
And think time also, 10 seconds think time. 10 seconds think time throughout the script, right? Now let's select this script also. Web2's random flight ticket booking is the script name. Hey, where is that script? So I'm showing it here. Okay, if it is there in that path, we have that in that path only, right? Default path only, right? Random web2's underscore random flight ticket. We have in that path, no? This is the default path, documents, VH and scripts. Web2's underscore random flight ticket booking. It's not showing here. Okay, let's do one thing. You can use, if it is not showing up here, like you can use browse, click on browse, right? You can go to that folder and select the script like this, Web2's random flight ticket booking, right? And once you click on open, it is added here, right? And okay, now it is visible here, right? So Web2's random flight ticket booking. Maybe there is a limit on the number of scripts that it can show. That could be the reason. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay, maybe it can show only 50 scripts. Okay, fine. So now I added this Web2's random flight ticket booking, right? So what is the other script that we want, that we did with Web2's?
Cheapest flight ticket booking.
Cheapest flight ticket booking, right? I think this is the one, right? Cheapest flight. Okay, let me open that script as well. Okay, let's make sure that, before adding the script, let's make sure that that is the final script, right? So web to cheapest flight ticket. I remember this is the final script, right? So yeah, so here you have transaction points, right? And in time, transactions and web frame. Yeah. So we'll use this script as the final script. Let's add this script also. Click on browse and select that web to cheapest flight ticket, the corresponding script. Right now you can see 3 scripts are added to the scenario. What is scenario now? What is a scenario?
Is it business flow?
It is a combination of 4 scripts, combination of business flows, right? So these are see, user registration is one business flow, random flight ticket is booking is one business flow, and cheapest flight ticket is one business flow, right? We developed one script for each of the business flow, right? Now scenario is nothing but a combination of scripts. Okay, so you can see that in the Vusion slide. Okay, you can see that in the Vusion slide. Scenario means a collection of business process, right? As you can see here, a collection of business process is called as scenario. Okay, guys.
Yes, sir.
Right? So for example, a scenario must include a combination of create new account, that is user registration, right? Search for flight, purchase ticket, business process, right? So you know like scenario, you understood, right? What is a scenario now? It's a combination of business process or a combination of scripts. In load runner terminology, it is combination of scripts, right? But in general terminology, scenario means a combination of collection of business process is called as a scenario, right?
Yes, sir.
Right now we added 3 scripts to the scenario and click OK. Now it's manual scenario will be created, because by default manual scenario is there, right? When you launch controller, you have manual scenario selected, right? And now you can see all these 3 scripts got added to the scenario, and by default scenario name is scenario 1, right? Here you can see scenario 1. If you want to save this scenario, click on the save button and see documents. Yeah, right. So see here, like once you click the save button, here you can see that scenario will be saved as a .lrs file. LRS stands for load runner scenario. And let us give some name to this scenario. Okay, we'll name it as web tours smoke test. What is this smoke test, right? Or else I'll use shakeout test. Those who hate smoking, I'll give shakeout test. Okay, I'll give the name as shakeout test. Both are same. Smoke test, shakeout test, dry run. All these terms are one and the same. So before running the actual load test, we have to. So what is this shakeout test or smoke test? Before running the actual load test, we have to do a trial run, right? That is called as a smoke test or shakeout test. Okay, or dry run, right? Or trial run, right? So okay, or shakeout test, both are one and the same, right? This is all represented dry run or trial run. Sorry, trial run. You got it, guys?
Okay.
Right? All these are one and same. Shakeout test or smoke test, right? Or dry run. These all refers to the trial run. Doing a trial run of the test, right? Here. So I named it as the scenario name as web2s underscore shakeout test, right? And now by default, it will be saved as LRS file. LRS stands for load runner scenario, and where it will be saved by default? Documents controller scenario in this path, right? In under documents, you have a controller folder. In that you have scenario folder that will be saved in that folder, right? Let's check that folder. So go to documents, right? Where is this controller? Here you have controller folder. In that controller you have scenario. In that you have the scenario will be saved as .lrs file. Right here you can see the extension and you can see the file type is load runner scenario. You can see here, right? Load runner scenario. Got it? And now, so this is the script name. These are the script names and this is the script path where the script is on your folder. This is the physical script path on your machine, right? And what is this percentage? Why we got 33%?
100% divided.
100% it is divided into
Right, 100%. Like as we added 3 scripts, like we are seeing the each script percentage as 33%, right? When you start a scenario, see here by default the this checkbox is selected, right? Use the percentage mode to distribute v users among the scripts, right? Just because this is selected, you are seeing the by default you are seeing the 100% is like as we added 3 scripts, each script percentage is specified as 33%, right? 33.33%, right? If you uncheck this, like let us uncheck this. Okay, we'll come to that later. We can modify that, so we'll come to that later, right? And see here there is something called scenario. So is this clear? In the first section of the controller window you have the script names, script path, right? And you have percentage and load generators. I explained what is load generator, right? Nice. Right? And in the right side, you have something called a service level agreement. What is it? Right? You have service level agreement, right? Currently, no SLA rules are defined for the load test. Click the new button to define the SLA criteria for the load test. We'll come to this later, not that much important, but these are important. Scenario schedule and let us understand what is this diagram, right? Now, so yeah, so in this section, scenario schedule section, by default you have the schedule name as schedule 1, right? And schedule by scenario, you have something called schedule by scenario and run mode as real world schedule. Let us understand this, schedule by scenario and real world schedule and what are these, right? And apart from this, you have something, sorry, you have something called global schedule, right? And total is 1 v user, and you have some numbers here, right? Initialize, start v users, duration, stop users, etc., right? And there is also a diagrammatic representation of v users over here, right? And by default the test duration is 5 minutes, right? Duration means test duration, right? What is the default test duration? It is 5 minutes, run for 5 minutes, right?
Okay.
Right, this is 5 minutes and 1 v user by default, right? You have 1 v user by default, right? And whatever you change here, right, it will be reflected, guys. Whatever, suppose if you want to change the duration, right? By default, see here, the duration is 5 minutes in the graph also, right? Whatever numbers you specify here, that will be reflected in this graph. Let me change the duration first. I double click to open that, right? Duration selected screen, just double click to open that, right? And see here, edit action, right? So if I want to, I'm changing from 5 to 15. The test duration as 5 to 15 and click apply. See here, this graph got reflected, right? It got updated, right?
So,
See, this is showing number of users. X-axis is showing number of users. What is x-axis? This is x-axis, right?
sorry, this is
Horizontal one is x-axis and this
X-axis.
is y-axis.
Y-axis.
Y-axis is showing v users, right? Number of v users, and here you specified as 1 v users, right? You gave only 1 v user. That's why it is showing 1, and on x-axis it is showing what is this?
time.
Right, time duration, right? So x-axis always shows the duration of the test, right? So it is showing the time duration, and y-axis is showing number of users, right? And like whenever if you want to modify something, if you modify the test duration, right, it is updating, it is getting reflected in the graph, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Right? Okay, this is understood, right? So these are some numbers which we can modify, and immediately the graph is getting updated over here, right? Now let us understand what is the schedule by scenario, and there is one more called schedule by group also. Okay, first let us understand different windows in this controller, and we will come back to them, right? So observe here, we are in design tab now. Right now we are in design tab, as you can see here, right? Apart from this, you have two more tabs, run tab and diagnostics for J2E.NET. Now let's move on to the next tabs, right? Go to the run tab. Let's go to the run tab, right? So here you have this, you have an option to start the scenario here, right? And you have an option to stop the users, right? And this is to stop the test. The stop button, it is grayed out because we didn't start the test. Once we start the test, this will be enabled. Stop test will be enabled, right? So you have a button to start the scenario, means start the test, stop the test, and this is for running or stopping the users. And observe here, like it is showing you like running the users means how many users are running now, and what is the elapsed time. Elapsed time means test start చేసేంత time అయింది. This shows like elapsed time section shows how much time we are into the test, right? And hits per second, passed transactions, failed transactions, errors, and so on. And here we have four graphs. By default you have four graphs. What are the default graphs? Running the users, transaction response time, hits per second, and throughput, right? These are the default graphs. These are selected by default. I didn't select, right? We didn't select this. By default these four graphs are selected. The first one is running the users, the second one is transaction response time, right? The reason why I'm showing you is like what are the default graphs, and you can see hits per second throughput under which section. You have web resource
Web
graphs.
resource graph.
Web resource graphs, you have throughput and hits per second. What is hits per second?
The number of hits that server is taking.
Correct. So number of hits that a web server receives, right, in a second, that is called as hits per second. Number of hits the web server receives in a second, that is called hits per second. What is throughput? Is this understood? Hits per second. We just understood, right? So we I just explained like every request will go to the user request will first go to the web server, and then yes, app server and DB server, right?
DB server. Yes, sir.
Every request will first go to the web server, app server, and DB server. I explained that in the performance testing introduction, the first 10 hours, right? All the user requests will go to the web server, right? Right? And how many hits the web server is receiving, that is called hits per second, right?
Yes, sir.
Does that mean transactions per second? No, right? There is a difference between request and hit, user request and hit, right? What is that?
Transaction is nothing but single user action.
Right. Right. Means you type gmail.com, that is one transaction. Right?
Transaction.
See, you type gmail.com, that is one transaction, right? But how many hits will go to the server? How can we see that? F12,
One
right?
Console.
When I send a request gmail.com, right? See how many requests are going to the server. See here. How many 32 requests are going to the server, right? These 32 are called
Hits per second.
hits, not per second. Per second means okay second ki enni hits vachinayi, that is hits per second. But there are total of 32 requests which are going to the server, web server, right? In the same way, if you type irctc dot, let me clear this first. irctc dot co.in, right? You are sending a request to IRCTC server. Now we can see how many requests are going. See here, 256. It is making around 400 requests, right? Let the page load. Okay, it's still loading.
By
Page load. right? One user action. I sent one HTTP request, right? How many hits it has triggered? Around 800 hits, right? It made a total of 800 hits to the web server. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Right? You have different images, HTML files, right? And CSS, JavaScript files, and so on, right? Here you can see images and HTML files, right? JavaScript files, .js files, right? We have HTML files and so on, right? But there are total of 800 plus requests, right? As you can see here, see CSS files. There are a couple of CSS files, JavaScript files, right, and so on, right? So a request will have many hits, right?
Yes, sir.
Understood, right? And now hits per second means how many hits per second the web server is receiving, right? Or how many hits the users are making to the application. This is hits per second, right? Is this clear, guys? We already covered it like multiple times. We discussed multiple times, right? And what is throughput?
The total amount of data.
Yes, the total amount of data transferred between browser and server, right? Between the browser and server, right? Or hit byte sends plus byte received, that is throughput, right? From the client perspective, client side need choose how many requests, how much data we send, how much data we receive, that is throughput, right? From the server perspective, throughput means the number of transactions that are handled by the server, that is called as throughput from the server perspective, right? Few basic definitions of performance system. I covered throughput over here, right? Throughput indicates the number of transactions per second an application can handle, right? This is from server perspective. From the client's perspective, like, it is nothing but how much data is flowing back and forth from your servers, right? How much data is sent to the server and how much data is received from the server. That is from the client perspective, right? So throughput is number from the server perspective, like throughput is the number of transactions that the server can handle per second, right? That is throughput. So these are the default graphs that that will be added to the controller, right? So this is about run window. This is understood, right? We'll come to this run window multiple times. We will switch between design and run window. Once we start the executions, we will switch between these, right? And what is this? Please install Loadernet controller Gateway.net diagnostics add-in, right? So if you want to use this, like, you have to install that add-in, right? So we'll come we'll come to that later. Now let's go back to the design tab. Now let us, let's add a new scenario, right? Let's add a new scenario without selecting this percentage mode, right? File, new, right? I'll uncheck this percentage mode, right? For time being. And let me add the scripts, the selected scripts one more time. Web2's user registration is one script, and Web2's, what is the other one?
User
Random user registration one, right? Yeah, user registration one. Okay, I will remove this, right? I will select this user registration. If you want to remove, select that and you can use this remove option, right?
Okay.
The next one is
we browse for that one, Mama.
yeah. So what is the other one? Random flight ticket booking and cheapest flight ticket, right? We can select multiple also, right? How to select multiple? I selected Web2's cheapest flight, Control Shift, right?
Random flight booking,
Okay,
both are same.
Random flight ticket booking where cheapest flight, they are different.
No. Here we can see that random, they are small letters.
Okay. Random flight ticket booking. Okay. Hey, no, those are same. Those are same. And cheapest flight ticket. What is your doubt?
In the selected one, we can
Ah.
see that random flight ticket booking. We can see the small letters on now. That's
Okay,
what
okay,
I'm asking.
okay. Let me open. Okay, we can open the script from here. So observe here, like here it is everything in small case. The script name is everything in small case. But in the script path, you can see like this is the actual script name, right?
Okay.
So I added 3 scripts to the scenario without selecting that percentage mode. Now say this, let me save this. Dry run. Okay. Previously we gave dry run, right? So I'm giving, or else I'll give this as a name as smoke test and shakeout test are the majorly used terms, right? ఎక్కువగా యూస్ చేసే టర్మినాలజీ స్మోక్ టెస్ట్ ఆర్ షేక్అవుట్ టెస్ట్. ఓకే, ఇట్స్ ఆల్రెడీ ఎగ్జిస్ట్. October 5th. Okay. Save the scenario with that name, web2 smoke test October 5th, and you can see the name over here, right? Now observe here, we got something called schedule by scenario and schedule by group. See, previously we got only schedule by scenario, right? But now we got schedule by scenario and schedule by group, right? Based on the scenario that you are selecting, you get the options, right? And run mode, you have real world schedule and basic schedule. Oh, it's already 9. Okay, so let us let me quickly cover the schedule by scenario and group, and we'll close the session. Okay, 1 second, please give me a minute.